Tax Act is here anytime you want to easily file your taxes. Tax Act is here for the early birds who like to knock them out as soon as the season opens. And for the procrastinators who like to wait until the very last minute. Tax Act is also here for the middlers who file right in the middle of tax season. No one ever talks about the middlers, but Tax Act sees you, and Tax Act respects you. Tax Act. Let's get them over with.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Last night, you spent 2 hours deciding what to wear to the party. This morning, it'll take you 2 minutes to list it on Depop and make your money back. Just grab your phone, snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest. The sheer dress and platform heels you'll never wear again? There's a birthday girl searching for them right now. Your one and done look is about to pay for your next night out. Or at least the ride home. Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
The quarterfinals of the European Cups are done and dusted, and for the first time on this podcast, we are going to be acknowledging the existence of the Challenge Cup because there was just that much URC involvement on it. But we'll also be talking all of our normal Champions Cup action, and then at the end of the show, we're going to be previewing the return of proper rugby and round 15 of the URC. Let's start the show. I am joined by the usual panel, the full panel this week of Irish Adam, South African Mohammed, and Scottish Ethan. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the purposes of this podcast, I am Welsh Hugh. We shall also be touching on Women's Six Nations later in the show as well. But with no time to lose, with so much to talk about, we're going to start off. We're going to go in chronological order for all of the games. Depending on what time you're watching this on Monday, I might or might not have done the timestamps yet. So if you're watching later on Monday, scroll ahead to the game you're interested in if you want to, or preferably sit through the whole thing, you selfish bastard. Anyway, let's begin with Ulster versus La Rochelle under-14s on Friday night. Adam, you got the job done. The opportunity was a norm, and you took it.
The opportunity was a norm, and Ronan O'Gara seemed pissed off. So I think we've done our job. He seemed annoyed the fact that he was still in the competition more than anything else. To be perfectly with you, to perfectly be frank with you, but we got the job done. We say a lot on these type of podcasts that you can only play what's in front of you, and Ulster played significantly better than they did against the Ospreys last week. There's a lot of we were a lot like the weather was the same, if not worse, than last week as well. So I was watching this in the comfort of my where I live compared to being back home. So it was one of those where I thought it was like much more entertaining to watch it whilst it wasn't pouring down rain, sideways wind.
It was pouring down rain, sideways wind. It's just you weren't in it.
I just wasn't in it. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I thought that Ulster, we looked really clinical. As I said, we looked very clinical. There was parts of the game where we really cleaned up on like scrums, and I feel like retention of ball as well. Nathan Doak was that just a little bit quicker off the mark, which made it so much nicer. That French, like I knew it was like basically like an academy-esque team from La Rochelle.
Yeah,
but
I've just brought up the La Rochelle team on the screen. I don't know why. Ain't nobody watching this who's ever heard of any of these.
Well, can we all have a go at the surname of the number 8? Because I don't even think any of the commentary tried that at all.
It's the number 8, Lucas and Gizeramachi.
I thought he made an all right impact, and then he came off in the 37th minute, to be fair to him. But there was a lot of really big positives from this game. I thought Augustus played really well. Zach Ward scoring 2 tries. He's finding form after having a little bit of a lull period.
It was the Ward show. Both of them played very well. Show.
It was. It very was. Much so. When Bryn Ward came on, his try was taken really, really well. It was like sort of that backwards ball into him, and he just ran the full pitch. But yeah, Ian Henderson playing 80 minutes, I thought was a massive thing. For an Ulster fan, I don't remember the last time for me. He's played a full 80 for Ulster. I thought that there was, for Ulster's sake, in this, like, these next couple of weeks are vital to our season, and they are vital to how we stand come, well, the last eight, as they say in the URC, or the last four in the Challenge Cup. But I think that the home advantage means so much in these instances. I thought our lineouts were pretty, well, as you see by here, I was actually going to mention that. Lineouts were pretty off, but I feel like a lot of that was due to the weather as well.
Oh yeah,
There was
no, it's
a
not
lot
great.
of overthrows on both sides, and there was a lot of moments where there was just a bit like, all right, okay. But in terms of our back three play, I thought that Jacob Stockdale is that right fit in that 15 mold for Ulster. Ethan McElroy last week, yes, he didn't have like the best of game against the Ospreys. However, Jacob Stockdale, his kicks were perfect. He's got a 50-22s here and there, and his defensive line's really sharpened up. So I thought, as I said, like we can say a lot about this La Rochelle team being quite poor, but I also think there was parts of the game where they weren't backing down. You know, Ronan O'Gara said himself that he didn't really want to be in this competition, but the players didn't really seem it. They wanted that win just to have more games for La Rochelle, it seems, because they accidentally got the win against Newcastle. But a semi-final is a semi-final, and we go marching on. It's just depending on how everyone else does, I guess.
I'm just looking at the lineup. I think the lineups page is the only page you need to look at. You look at this Ulster team: Angus Bell, Tom Stewart, Tom O'Toole. It's pretty good. Ian
Yeah.
Henderson, Cormac Izuchukwu, good players. Dave McCann, those who know. Yano Augustus, great player. Nick Timoney, great player. Nathan Doak, great player. Jack Murphy, underrated.
Yeah.
Underrated, I'd say. Stuart McCloskey. Stuart McCloskey might as well have been playing this game in his slippers and dressing gown, to be honest.
Yeah, he does everything so effortlessly. It's like if my favorite thing to do now is how many times can he get the ball and four players hang off him and he still gets a pass out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
he's playing the
Uh,
rugby of his life at the minute.
James Hume, you're playing well.
Yeah,
Works in
very
that
well.
Ulster team. Then you like say Jacob Stockdale, Werner Koch, and Zach Ward. It's just a good team. And then you got the other Ward brother coming off the bench.
Harry Sheridan coming off the bench as
Jude
well.
Postlethwaite coming off the bench. You've
We
just got a good team.
Yeah, we've got a really nice team, and like the likes of Scotty Wilson coming off in the 60th minute, Sam Crane coming in off as well, coming on as well. We do have like our setup. Like the thing is that I think for most Irish teams, probably give and take Leinster, we need to work on our scrums. I feel like our scrum management is just that little bit off. When we do play the harder teams like Leinster next week, or Stormers, or Montpellier, we need to work on our scrums. And I think a little bit around the set piece, around the line out as well. But after that, like, our kicks went well, our attacking kicks played well, our defense was all right as well. I think their tries mainly came from like different aspects of a maul. That's okay. I feel like that's just pushing over. They had a big players. But yeah, it was really positive. I think I'm feeling more positive about this week's win than last week's win. Bearing in mind, I'd say that Ospreys team could probably beat that La Rochelle team, but it's much more like it's considering the weather and stuff. We played a very good game and we scored 42 points out of it, so I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I think you should be. We don't have too much time to linger. We are now going to talk very briefly about Montpellier versus Connacht. Now, there was a lot of rugby happening concurrently on Saturday. This game was on at the same time as both Glasgow Toulon, which we're going to be talking about next, and the Women's Six Nations. So apologies for lacking a bit of detail on this one. I would say that there's not much shame in Connacht going out to Montpellier. I think Montpellier are clearly the strongest team in the Challenge Cup this season. They've been in great form in the top 14. They're really pushing for that second spot behind Toulouse. And they seem to be taking it quite seriously. You got the likes of Ali Price, Billy Vunipola playing in this game. Several of the players who I won't name because they've got various convictions for unpleasant crimes against them. John Etchegary, who they signed from UBB, Tom Bonks as well in there. So, yeah, Connacht, you've fallen a bit short on the day. And what I understand, there's a couple of questionable refereeing calls, but no shame for me. I think this Montpellier team are the hot favourites for this tournament, like I say. So, take it as a blessing in disguise. You can now fully focus for a run in the URC to try and get into that 8th spot.
I think that's what they need to really focus on. I think that their form in the league and coming so far in the Champion Challenge Cup means that they need to fully focus on that top eight spot. You've got a couple of teams like Munster who are going downwards, I'd say, in trajectory, and you've got Connacht going upwards. So there's that possibility of that sort of leapfrog when I look at the table now, to see them overtake Munster or the Bulls. So I think that that's what they would primarily want to think about now.
I completely agree. All right, then. So we're now moving on to the first Champions Cup game of the weekend. And Ethan, we're going to come to you. Pain, I would say. Pain. Just tell us about your day, because you were there. You were there. Tell us about your day in Scotstoun.
Yeah, no, it was quite nice. I mean, I went, normally I would go to High Street for the train, but I went to Argyle Street, which if you've never been, is a really weird train station because it's half like a subway station that you like go down along up and you're on like the Glasgow Central line. But yeah, no, it was a nice sunny-ish day at Scotland. It was quite cold, a bit breezy. But yeah, it was a bit of a sore one because I think on paper that Glasgow team probably could have edged it. I was expecting it to be a bit close. So
It was
to
close.
lose by 3 points with the team that was there is not too bad because we were hoping George Horn would be back, but no, I think it was just 1 week too soon for him. We lost Max Williamson in the warm up, so Mackenzie Duncan got called up last minute. So Ewan Ferry had to play lock when he came off the bench. But yeah, I mean, I think the first half was kind of where Glasgow lost it in that they didn't make the most of it during that yellow card period. As I think, what was it? I think we only scored once during then. It was kind of a tit for tat game. Like we would score,
Very much.
and Toulon would score, we would score, Toulon would score. And yeah, it was, I mean, it was a good game, but I think Glasgow's injuries, because we didn't have George Horn, Jamie Doby. So for on scrum half, it was Ben Afshar. And that, I don't think Jack Oliver came off the bench,
No,
which
no,
was a,
Lacey. And also no Alex Craig, no Scott Cummings either.
nope, or Gregor Brown or Max Williamson. So because I think Yari and Alex Samuel were more, you know what I mean, like more than enough in theory, but to not have, I mean, not having Scott Cummings, for example, or Gregor Brown's quite big because they're just machines. And then to not have a quote unquote proper lock come off the bench either is a bit, yeah. But I think Ben Afshar, I think he didn't have his best performance. I think he was better than I've seen him. But for him to play against Scotland's first choice scrum half and a Lion, and then what France is arguably second, third choice scrum half.
Second choice during the Six Nations.
Yeah, is quite a big test.
That was the
for him.
moment for me when they brought Baptiste Serran and Zach Mercer off the bench. I was like, Glasgow don't have that.
No, and I'm trying to think what happened. When Kyle Stain came off, I feel that 10 or so minute period was quite a bit dicey because it was a strange choice. One of the things that I would criticize Franco for in this game was I think he probably should have put Jack Oliver on the wing rather than bring Dan Lancaster on to move Mackay to the wing and Hastings to fullback.
Dan Lancaster had a hell of a Saturday afternoon, didn't he? Subbed at half time, then back on twice in the second half.
Yeah. I know he just needed a break. He needed a breather.
Gregor needs to have a chat with him on Monday morning. Just be like, hey, bro, this is what happens.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think what else. Yeah, I think Toulon, fair play to them for standing up because we all kind of dismissed Toulon a wee bit.
Yeah, 100%. This is their third away win of the season. It's a massive upset.
And I'm just trying to think what it was.
Nacho Brex's try. How about that?
Yeah, I feel there was quite a few soft tries in that. So like that Brex try, like 2 minutes before it was a really tense period on our 5 meter line. And then we won a turnover. And everyone, because I was sitting basically there in the south stand. So I saw we all went mental celebrating that turnover. For then 2 minutes later, Brex just runs it in. And we're all just like, fuck.
Rory Darge is one of the most underrated players in the world. I
Yep.
think if he was not Scottish, I think he'd get a lot more praise than he currently does. He was
Yeah.
what, 3 turnovers in that second half alone, 2 of them on his own try line.
Yeah, I think he was unlucky not to get into the Lions last year. Because I mean the back row is quite a tight across all the or all across the home nations, it's quite a tight battle. But I thought he was a bit unlucky. But yeah, I mean Darge, I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad game. But yeah, I think overall it's a bit disappointing for all the hard work Glasgow did to get to this point. And for, like what would have been a home semi-final and stuff, which Glasgow's never had. But I think, yeah, just Glasgow got stretched a bit too thin with injuries.
Mohammed, if I bring you in as kind of the neutral voice on this one, what did you make of the game? What do you think the winning of it was?
Well, fantastic game, much like the game prior week for the Bulls, which I didn't get to express. But yeah, sad that Glasgow lost, but they are somewhat depleted. I think Toulon look like they're hitting form at the right points. Toulon, like, used to have a Galicio team, but now they've got more of a structured team, and the quality throughout is sort of shining through. Looking forward to seeing, obviously, Dave Ribbons run out for the Springboks at the next World Cup. And then Stafford McDowell, fantastic performance again, despite in a losing performance, in a losing game, putting his hand up. Yeah, Josh Mackay looked solid. The atmosphere was fantastic in the game. I'm envious of Ethan that he actually got to attend this game, and I look forward to watching Glasgow play on the 25th of April here at Cape Town Stadium. Hopefully, look, they've got a lot of injuries, so I won't be able to see some players, but still, if they send this match 23, I still like to see it. And it's obviously going to be interesting to see if they actually send a full string team or not. So, yeah, hard luck for Glasgow, but Toulon looked good. Also, that Brix try was like there was still 20 minutes left in the game, and there were no scores after that. So that's was kind of crazy.
Well, that's it exactly. In a world where we're supposed to be getting used to games where both teams score 40, and apparently that's exciting. Not for me. I think battles like this are exciting, where it's all stakes, all stakes. Adam, what was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think watching it as a neutral, but with a URC head on me though, was sort of like gutted the fact that we didn't see, as I said last week, like a Scottish team in the semi-final of Europe, because that would have just been theater. Like especially against Leinster. That would have just been theater. But I did really enjoy it. I thought Glasgow played a really good game, but as I think Hugh, you mentioned, like it was Toulon's bench and Glasgow not having that wow factor off the bench was the really big factor in playing it. But I wouldn't see an aspect of downheartedness if I like. Well, it's probably easier for me to say this as I'm not a Glasgow fan, but I would be really relatively proud of that performance from Glasgow and Europe in general. And I think it gives them a good building block to kick on and win, like even the URC this season, or think about how they can push on for next year in the Champions Cup as well. Like I feel like this is a really good like base layer compared to like other seasons where I feel like they might have slumped off. I think they just put pressure, and it was that final little hurdle is that thing.
It's scant consolation, but I think if you had Scott Cummings and George Horn in the fit and available, would that have bridged a 3-point gap? Maybe.
Yeah, I think George brings that energy that, because you saw in the Scotland versus Italy game this year when he came on, he was like the hype man telling everyone to get their fingers out and stuff. And I think Glasgow really needed that because it's just that pure speed alone from George Horn would have massively been a not only like a mood difference, but just like sheer mentality difference of just go fast and just run it and stuff. But yeah, no, I do agree with that. I think it's a good kind of building block, at least because that was quite a young team that was playing. Because I think Alex Samuel's actually younger than me. I feel like he's only like 22. I mean, Yari's like 20, 21.
Yeah, but the one concern could be that, like, with injuries and everything like that, if you look at your fly-off depth, like Dan Lancaster's better than what we thought he was, but I don't know if he's quite the fly-off to win you a URC final. And I'm not a massive fan of Adam Hastings. I mean, he's got his good days and bad days, but yeah, that's one thing one aspect to look at. Yeah, going through to the URC playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with Mohammed. I think Lancaster's a very good URC level fly half, and I feel like that's what we're finding out now. I think from what we've heard from Hugh, yourself, and about him in Racing and him not having a very good time compared to like now I've seen him in a few games. I'm like, he's actually, if he settles into a team, I think he'd be a very good replacement level. But I agree with Mohammed, he's not going to be the fly half to win you a Champions Cup. Do you know what I mean? I think there's like that next level of fly half, and I don't think Adam Hastings is either. I think Hastings is one that's in and around. But I think he's off next year anyway, isn't he? So he's always going to be away and stuff like that as well. So, it's whether or not Glasgow can develop another 10 in the background or sign another 10. And that's probably the difference in that sense as well.
Late in the season as well. It's late in the day to be fishing around for a 10 who's going to be an upgrade on what we got at the moment.
Looking through academies.
Yeah.
Can you kick a ball? Can you kick a ball?
Yeah. I would say South African mothers, lock up your sons. Is that Musi Vuyo guy who plays for the Sharks from the under-20s?
I mean, he's gonna be running out for the under-20s. He had a bit of an injury, so he wasn't involved in the under-20s tour to Georgia. But yeah, we've already lost Jean Smith to Benetton. Hugh, please. I'm already still upset about that. We can't lose like another up and coming fly off to Glasgow. So
anyway, right. So we're going to go on next to talk about Leinster of all people. Before we do, please consider subscribing if you're watching on YouTube to the Global Gameline YouTube channel, one of the, if not the most diverse rugby podcasting channel that you will find anywhere in the world. Over 1,500 subscribers. We've got weekly shows on USA Rugby, which of course is going to be covering the Pac-4 and the MLR. We've got a weekly Irish show. We've got a weekly women's rugby show covering the Six Nations and Pac-4. Scrum of the Earth also posted an episode this week. We've got a weekly French show, which I host. So if you're wondering why we're not talking about UBB versus Toulouse, that's going to be spoken about on that podcast. You're going to have to tune in to that for that. We're not going to talk about it here. And of course, there's a weekly South African show. Are you recording this week, Mohammed? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so we're actually doing 2 episodes a week now, Mondays and Fridays. But for this week, we're going to only do the Friday episode, in-depth review of all the match 23s. We cover Bulls, Lions, Stormers, and sometimes even, if we feel lucky, the Sharks.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a bit of rugby from a bit of everywhere. And if that sounds like a bit of you, please consider hitting subscribe. Okay, then. Next game that we're going to talk about is going to be Leinster versus Sale fucking Sharks. Another game, Adam, where Leinster struggling with the weight of expectation. They come out with this team, you think this is a non-contest on paper, and then it's 7-3 at halftime, and you're thinking, huh. And then you check the full-time score, and you're thinking, what's everyone complaining about? So what did you make of this one?
So this is like my preface in saying that Leinster's scrum got like demolished in the first scrum. Uzmanov then went off injured, which, to be fair, given Leinster's like crisis at loosehead prop, is the last thing that they need. I think it's the last thing any team needs. But I felt like the tight head prop for Sale, I think he's only 21. The tight head prop for Sale was really, really good at pressuring that loose head side. And I think that's the last thing that Leinster needed in any type of aspect of any game at the minute, because that's where they're not their weakest, but they're at their most stretched at the minute. Cahir came on and played most of the game. Fair enough to him. I think it's his 11th game for Leinster, in a big position like this against Sale in a quarterfinal. The first half was really interesting. I thought it was really, well, as the scoreline said, it was tight. There was a lot of to and throwing. There wasn't any like. It was really weird because I don't think there was enough zip from Gibson Park at the very start of the game. Whereas as Sale got tired, it was like, oh, Harry Byrne then got more into the game in the second half and was started to dictate all around the pitch. I thought it was a very interesting like point of Harry Burns playing this like all right game, but he still had little. He missed 5 tackles in the defensive way. There's still like little aspects of not little aspects. I would say big aspects of Leinster's game that they really need to improve on to make sure that that first half performance doesn't replicate itself. Because in my opinion, I said it last week as well, they have this drive to win in very tight games. However, it takes a team like UBB to play against them in that first half and really punish them for it. Then they'll be behind. And it's almost like the same as last year. Whereas I don't think they've chased enough games to be really comfortable in chasing a game. This game, we knew from the start that it was going to be a win for Leinster. I don't think Sale were ever really much in it. Like the scoreboard says different at halftime, but the second half is when they really started to kick on. Hugo Keenan scored a really good try to start the second half. Not to mention the Sheehan try at the very start of the first half.
How good is he? I know it doesn't feel like analysis anymore, but Dan Sheehan, he's good at rugby.
He's one of the best players in the world. Like I don't even think that's like anything to like. I don't think anyone would disagree with me in saying that Sheehan could probably play, and he did play at one point back row in this game and still played very well.
I think he could play centre.
Yeah,
he play inside centre.
He could play anywhere. He could play fullback, and I wouldn't be mad. Like, look at that. It was almost like Jamie Osborne was running a 13 line off a 12 there.
Yeah.
That was the last try of the game. That was just when I felt like Sale really shrugged off. Bird scored a relatively run-in try. There was 2 yellow cards. There was 2 yellow cards for Sale in the second half. No, in the first half even, to make it so that Leinster were like way more on top than they were. And then that's when that sort of first half Keenan try came in. Baird then scored a try on the wing, which I feel like he had about 20 to 15 meters to run in. A very well taken try by Baird. I don't think it was necessarily great tackling by Sale. I think they've only won 3 of their last 12 games or something like that, and that really shown.
I'm coming in hot then. This game was a waste of time. And it's not your fault, Leinster. Leinster, it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you. It was a waste of time. When trash English Premiership teams are getting into situations like this, frauding their way this far in the competition, what a waste of time. There were multiple times in the second half where I thought refs just blow up. Like, we know what's... I think there was the try that... I can't remember who scored. It was probably Tommy O'Brien. I can't remember exactly.
Was it
and they went 26-3 up or 26-6 up or something? Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was Ioane. Sorry, Ioane's try. I was like, okay, well, that's it then. So just wave it off. Like when Harry Byrne went for the 3 whilst 20 odd points up, I was like, just go, ref. Should we just all go home? Like this is done. This is finished. Like, and it was interesting, because normally we have this the other way around. It was interesting having URC commentators talking about Sale, because normally what we have on the Premier Sport coverage is we have Premiership commentators and co-coms and stuff talking about URC teams, whereas in this we had a URC commentary team talking about Sale, and they were like, I think John Barker was like, they're rubbish. Like he was like, there's no attacking shape to them whatsoever. Every time that George Ford gets the ball, he just hoofs it down the field. And they just really didn't offer anything. They scored 1 try, but it just felt like such a format, like a game that was played because it had to be,
Yeah, and the crowd reflected that as well. We talk about this a lot, and this is something that I have said in the past couple of weeks. But Aviva, like the sooner the RDS is like built and ready to go, the better for Leinster, because I feel like the Aviva's lost its shine. 18,000 people at the Aviva. Yes, granted, it was probably a lot more expensive to get to this game, and a lot more people would be much more a bit like to go to a Leinster v Sale game. It felt very much like a round 4 Champions Cup match, even with the crowd. But
I think as well, because of the round of 16 and going into the quarterfinal, it feels deeper in the competition than it actually is. Because back in the day, the quarterfinal was the first knockout round, so you could forgive like a slightly shit team getting into it somehow. But now that you've already had 1 knockout round, it's like, ugh. come on, like it's
It's
time
one of
to move on.
It is, and I think the game is perfectly summed up by after the Awoni try, it was the O'Brien try. Harry Byrne chipped it over the top. Five five Sale players jumped at it. It bounced in between all of them, and O'Brien just caught it out of the sky and scored a try. And it was a bit like, yeah, that sort of sums up this game. Or the last try when Sheehan did really well, to be fair to him, to break up the middle, and Osborne scored a try on the back on his back because he was tackled from the 7 meter line, but still stumbled his way over the line. And I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like this Leinster team do definitely have something more left in them. I feel like it makes it so much more interesting the next game that they have. I thought it would have been way more interesting the game that they could have had against Glasgow, but it makes it interesting. Like Leinster are quietly getting score lines done, and and I know what we say about. I think that they are on the easier side of the draw, to be perfectly honest with you. But it takes those easy side of the draws for Leinster to do silly trophy wins and win a trophy like that. Do you know what I mean? It takes those type of teams, it takes those type of games. They are getting the score lines as well, to be fair to them.
Well, if you look at what UBB went through today against Toulouse, the absolute war that they had to win in that game, and then they've got to go back into the top 14 after it. I do think it is an opportunity for Leinster. Like I said, I'm not blaming Leinster at all. There is basically nothing to criticize them about from this game, really. It's just the way that it worked out. Anyway, a game that, Adam, I know you're a lot more excited to talk about is Zebra versus Dragons in the Challenge Cup. 32 points to 35. So from the kind of Welsh point of view, it's great to see a Welsh team get this far in the competition, get into a semi-final. The opportunity was there, and it's great to see them take it. 17 all at half-time. Zebra scored late to kind of make it look a bit closer than it was. And Philo Tiatia looked absolutely delighted. Obviously, all the Dragons fans were rightly delighted. And this is the Dragons, I think, third semi-final in their history. They got two under Lynn Jones. They were the days. I remember that. I remember the Lynn Jones season where they did the double over Leinster. Like that's rugby heritage right there. Back in I can't remember. I think it was the Rabo Direct in those days.
Rabo Direct.
Yeah, proper rugby. Yeah, and just the players who needed to turn up turned up. Ben Carter, I've been telling, and every Dragons fan has been screaming this from the rooftops for ages. Ben Carter's the real deal, guys. Like, he is the best lock, the best Welsh lock who isn't called Daft Jenkins, who I think is amazing, and rightly getting as much praise. Obviously, captain the side on the day. The Dragons are hit a bit by injuries. Obviously, Shea Hope is out for the season, I think. So to be missing that, Harrison Keddy got a doublé. Just happy for them. It's great to see. They do have a bit of heritage for this competition. They've got obviously going to have a very difficult game next up. But why not dare to dream? This is the point of being here. Adam, tell me why you love this game so much.
Well, it started off with Zebra doing a yellow fireworks to open the game. And the first 5 minutes, it was just in smoke. I was just like, this is proper. This is what European rugby's supposed to be. Like, do you know, like when we'd probably watch like the likes of the Europa League or the Champions League in the football, and you see like a game where there's like pyrotechnics everywhere. That was what it was supposed to be. I think Zebra came out, everything felt like it was a European game. Like, I didn't think at one point during this match it was a URC match. I felt like everything was on the line, and that was what made it even like, given the URC table context, I probably would miss this out if it was a URC game. I only watched it because it was a European knockout. But I thought it was really, really well done by Dragons to have a game against Stade Francais last week and win it in the last minute, to basically near enough winning it, not in the same fashion, but sort of tidying it up around the same time. I thought it was really good by Dragons. And as an Ulster fan, I need them to do us a massive favour against Montpellier. So, I'm going to be the biggest Tinnis de Beer fan in the world. But I thought it was a really good game. I think the likes of watching Aaron Wainwright play for Dragons was it's so good to see in the league, but it's the fact that they're losing him next year makes it that little bit sadder because every time I watch him, he's so class, and isn't it so good that the likes of Dragons could have a player like Aaron Wainwright? And of course he's moving, so that sort of completely takes away my point. But then even then, I thought Zebra played a really good game as well. Like they didn't back down from this fight, especially in the second half as well. I just thought it was, it's one of those games where I didn't have any horse to back. And I just sat down and was like, even Luke Pierce was refereeing it, and I was like, that's quite a good referee to have on the Challenge Cup.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
I could get onto. I won't get into the rant that I've got in my head, but
I was just like, he's quite a good referee to have on this weekend.
Because Holly Davidson did the Ulster game as well. I was like, some big games this weekend. Why's Holly doing this one? No offense.
And also, it was one of those that both of the kits are magnificent. I don't like. I was sitting next to my girlfriend whilst we were watching this, and she wasn't really watching it, to be fair to her. But I just kept on going, "Look at how nice the kits are." And then something mad like that try would happen. I was just like, "Oh, there's another try."
Well, clearly, next game Montpellier need to wear a pink, and so the Dragons will easily win.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Dragon Sea pink. There's blood in the water. It's blood in the water.
Yeah. Although Cardiff do have a pink kit, and they haven't beaten Cardiff in like decades.
I just love it. It's so Pro 12 if it was a Ulster v Dragons Bilbao final. Poetic masterclass.
Yeah. That's worth the price of admission on its own. That's better than the Champions Cup final. And then last Challenge Cup game of the round. I'm going to talk to Mohammed about this one because he did watch it. Benetton versus Exeter in what was a silly game of rugby that lacked any real credibility, but it was, if anything, if nothing else, a nice thing to watch while you ate your lunch.
Yeah, it was definitely had a bit of Prem / Super Rugby flavor.
Yeah, I would like to officially condemn Benetton for succumbing to Prem ball.
Yep, but interesting that Benetton were facing Exeter with Exeter's distinct three Italian players in it. Benetton looked solid for most parts, but it was very back and forth. I think Exeter's an interesting study because I mean they were really really good not too long ago, and then they obviously basically took last season off to like a rebound, and they have rebounded quite well. They look solid and they good value for this win. Overall, like I thought Benetton were really going to focus on this tournament and try and win it and not worry too much about the URC, and it didn't quite come off. They did give it a good go though. I think that last minute penalty was a little touch and go, but then that guy was sort of off his feet.
I think the big so harsh. I thought that he hit. I thought he rolled away. I don't think that he obstructed any cleanouts, in my opinion.
But then like if the game's on the line and you're in your own half, you got to be mature enough to really maybe move faster or something like that. It was very, very 50-50. So felt for Benetton towards the end there. I mean, it would have been nice to see another.
14 men as well, because the referee awarded just a penalty kick for what was a clear shoulder to head.
And then for you, Boso, like, I mean, Exeter have one or two quality players. Slade, Feo Boso look really good. I mean, for his try, basically bounced off the tackle. So he always stands out whenever Exeter play. I'm surprised he's actually sticking around there. I thought he might join everybody else in Bath, but yeah. Overall, like, exciting game to watch. Not much defending, but yeah, look, I'm actually...
He's frozen. But I'd just like to chip in that, yes, there wasn't very much defending at all. It was very disappointing from a defence point of view, especially just after half-time where there was 3 tries in the first 8 minutes of the second half. I was like, this is silly. Are you back with us, Mohammed?
Yeah, I'm back. So yeah, fun game to watch, but yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Sorry, Benetton. That's their season pretty much done. Well, completely done now, which is a shame. Anyway, look forward to watching Wayne Pivac in charge of them next season. And with that, he closed the EPCR Challenge Cup tab. So that's all the games. We've done it. We've spoken about all of them. Just going to quickly touch on the Women's Six Nations now. So England versus Ireland at Twickenham. Adam, that scoreline is not that bad, you know.
No, it wasn't bad at all. I know, considering when you look at a scoreline like that and you sort of go like, oh, but I think you have to put into context how most of these Ireland players aren't playing in like professional like the professional setup in England, whereas the England setup is so perfect in that sense that you can clearly see it in some of the aspects of the game. The running rugby that was played by the England team was really good. I couldn't really fault them in any sense. I think the likes of Kildune was really good. She normally is one of the best players in the world. I thought that I thought that England's loose head prop was really good as well. I think their scrum, I think Ireland really targeted the scrum really well. I thought there's instances of different penalties throughout it. Something that I didn't appreciate before, and I didn't think I've ever realized, is when players play in stadiums like that. Is I think it was one of the commentators mentioned it about how playing against 70,000 people, your communication needs to go up another level for that, and you need to be screaming across the pitch. And they said that that could be another issue that Ireland faced. And there was aspects in the first half and the attack that Ireland did that you could have seen like little aspects of it where there was little communication errors. But I think as we got more settled into it, like the two tries that Ireland scored were really good. Like it was really positive. And I think that that was the lowest margin that we've lost against England by in England in the Six Nations, which is also a really big positive as well. I think for the occasion that it was a great, great game. Like I think that Ireland were in it. Well, not scoreline wise, but they weren't backing down. 21-0 at halftime. I know it seems like a bit, but as I said, given the context, given the fact that we have like the likes of the Wolfhounds and the Clovers playing, we've got these different setups going, and I thought it was a really good game. I really enjoyed watching it. I think it's a really good advert for the Six Nations as well, because it was in Twickenham, because it was 70,000 people. It what 77,120 people were watching it. That's incredible. And it seemed like it was it was a really good crowd as well, and it was really good to see that as well. But as I said, it wasn't a bad result for Ireland. I think England, that was like their 33rd win in a row or something like that. They were saying on they're saying on commentary, they're one of the best teams in the world, and to score two tries at Twickenham, given the occasion, I think that was really good from us, and I think that's a good way to kick on now in the next couple of games.
I think the way that it went as well, it's almost better that it kind of happened that way, because if it was like, if you scored both your tries in the first 20 minutes and then nothing for the rest of the game, that's a bit like, oh. But then because you actually won the final quarter and you drew the second half, it's, that's more encouraging for me.
It is. It 100% is. It shows growth, and it shows that belief in this squad. I think when it was a very, like as you said, like that first half was so dominant by England, but our defense was quite good. I thought our defense was really good in aspects as well. Like our line out defense was good as well. Like there was aspects where I was just like, this is really good. Like there was a couple of aspects where I thought that there was like kicks that sort of went awry. But after that, I think the second half worked much better. And as they said on commentary, Scotland are playing in Murrayfield, Wales are playing in the Principality, and then Ireland are playing in the Aviva. So, at the minute, Ireland are on about 22,000, I think, sold for that game, and it's the last game of the season. So hopefully, with Ireland kicking on and more people watching it, it will sell out that game.
Fingers crossed. And then Scotland versus Wales. Congratulations, Ethan, on the win. Yeah, Wales gave me hope at the end, especially with it going to like the 89th minute or whatever it was. Played a bit better, but I read the BBC article about this one saying that both teams had to win, and obviously it's a new era for Scotland. They've got a new head coach in there as well, new coaching ticket.
Yeah,
I don't know. What's your expectations or hopes for Scotland this Six Nations?
Well, it's an interesting one because I quite liked. I mean, granted, I'd never heard of Sione Fuka. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the way that he was talking, I can't remember if he wants to say he wants to be top 3 or top 2 within the Six Nations, but he's got that ambition, which I think Scotland's certainly capable of at least being top three. If they manage to usurp France, I will be very happy with that. I don't think it will be happening anytime soon, just because of the sheer gap between like England, everyone else, and then France and everyone else.
Hmm.
But yeah, like his first game in charge, going down to Wales, and they always say that for the women's teams, like Scotland, Wales has like a really big rivalry.
Yeah, it's always close. It's always a close match, apart from in the World Cup where it wasn't,
Yeah,
which is a bit of a shame.
yeah. But you know, to go down to Wales in quite a heated match and have, was it just the one yellow card in the end, or was it two? I don't know why I feel like it was two yellow cards in like the last minute.
Um, yeah, we both teams had one yellow card, I think.
Yeah, and to manage to pull away with that, because with some injuries, like for example, like Francesca McGee's injured, which is a shame because she's absolutely insane.
Hmm.
Like I think she's arguably better than Darcy Graham in the sheer madness of her tries. It's
Yeah.
but it was quite good to see. Well, I didn't personally see it, unfortunately, but reading about it, that Glasgow had three players capped, which is brilliant for Glasgow because Glasgow's unfortunately not really clicked in the Celtic Challenge.
Very much a development team.
Yeah, and a very young team as well. So like for the fact like Holland Boggan, for example, who I thought she had played for Scotland before at some point, like her, Barrick, I can't remember who the other one was. Like for them to all feature, despite Glasgow being quite a development team,
Hmm.
is a really good sign.
Yeah, I was really happy with the Bristol Thunder girls as well for Wales. About the two Serens, thought Seren Lockwood off the bench had a great impact. Seren Singleton on the wing, I'm really happy with how she played. And Georgia Iono is massive in the second row. I'm not surprised she got picked in the second row because she's absolutely huge. And I'm not going to talk about, obviously, it's a URC show. I'm not going to talk about Italy tons. I'm assuming that the Italian fans who have tuned into this aren't particularly wanting to hear about how they got beat 40 points to 5 by France. Italy started the Six Nations quite slowly on several years and get better by the end. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, let's do the final part of the show now and talk about the round 15 of the URC, which is coming up this weekend. Starting off on Friday night with Edinburgh versus Zebra, Ethan, in a game that can only be described as on this Friday.
Yeah, I mean, Edinburgh did lose to Zebra at the very beginning of the season, when arguably Edinburgh were playing slightly better. But I mean, you'd like to think this would be a very convincing Edinburgh win, but we, I, yes, it is Edinburgh, which is kind of, you know, Edinburgh's currently got nothing to really play for. So whether Everett will just go say like, fuck it, let's just put all the young players in and just try and build as much depth as possible. Um, while Zebra's currently flying on a high, getting to the Challenge Cup semis. I'm probably going to go Edinburgh by, I might say 8. I feel like
Okay.
there'll be some outlandish try from some spillage or some crazy chaos that Edinburgh will
There will be a
capitalize on.
moment in this game where we think Zebra are going to win, for sure.
Yeah.
But then coming on to the big one, Adam, Ulster versus Leinster. Come on, Ulster. Come on. This is your time.
Soft them, hashtag soft them. That's all I can say. Yeah, it's one of those where, you know, this is the game. This is the game for us. You know, it doesn't get much bigger than this for us. Would we rotate a lot? I don't think so. I think Leinster might rotate. I think Leinster might rotate a lot.
Yeah.
We need like a packed out Ravenhill Stadium. I think this is one of those games where we need everything to be put into this. 4 points is good, 5 points is even better, but we don't know what type of Leinster team that are going to show up. As I said, both teams have scrum issues. I really want this win. I think you'd not be a fan of a province if you didn't want to win in an Interpro, but this is big. I'm gonna say Ulster by 10. Um, Ulster
Ooh.
Ulster by 10. You've heard it here. Um, I'm gonna say that we're gonna have a hopefully it's gonna be a nice dry game, but also I feel like given the fact that we've played in hurricane-like weather for the past 2 weeks, maybe the lads in Dublin wouldn't be that used to it. So yeah, but I'm just gonna say Ulster by 10. Stuff them, hashtag stuff them. Come on, the boys.
And then Dragons versus Bulls. We've lost Mohammed, unfortunately, but Dragons on a high. Can they emotionally back it up? The Bulls have been the business-like Bulls recently. I'd be interested to see because they've played pretty much their full-strength team in every game for the last however long, basically since the turn of the year. So are they going to do that again, send a full-strength team to the Dragons? The Bulls obviously need as many points as they can get in their quest to get up the table. But definitely, I think one to keep an eye on. I think this will be an interesting enough game. And then we've got Stormers versus Connacht. It's got to be another. Stormers are in that part of the season. They've just got to bank 5-pointers at the moment. And Adam, I think Connacht might be a little bit. It's an uphill task for them to get anything from this game for me.
Yeah, it will be. I think it's going to be a very difficult. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what type of squad they bring up. I think it's going to be a full strength squad, but I think Connacht at this time, I know that we're saying that they're racing for the top eight. It's going to be very difficult for them, but I think that any type of points is good points. If they're looking to have like a losing bonus point or try and squeeze a bonus point out of the Stormers, it's going to be very difficult to squeeze anything out of the Stormers at this point. But maybe it's a bridge too far, but I'm excited to see what they can do, and I feel like they could do something. I think a losing bonus point might be the best thing for them.
Yeah, Mohammed's back. Mohammed thought Stormers have got to bank 5 points against Connacht.
Yeah, they're better. I mean, Connacht just had 2 games. Didn't look that great in the previous game. They played away in France. Now they're flying over immediately. Weirdly, I watched this exact fixture last season, almost at the exact same time of the year. So, I mean, Connacht, it's weird. I thought they mix up the URC. Stormers would play Connacht away. So, yeah, Stormers better get the job done. And yeah, my internet cut out, but I fancy the Bulls to beat the Dragons. House Targaryen.
Okay, and then what about the Lions versus Glasgow? Definitely a game to tune in for.
Yeah, I think the Lions will have a shot here. Glasgow have a lot of injuries, and Lions have just about no injuries. Lions had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and not only physically prepare, but also scout the opposition. Glasgow now have to fly over from Scotland, and I don't know what the vibe's going to be like after that narrow defeat. So I'm hoping for actually, if the Lions defeat Glasgow, they'll do the Stormers a huge favor. So tune into Bit of an Animal on Friday when we have the match 23s for both teams, and myself, Sibu Siso, Temikosi, Jean, and Bryce sort of dissect this game.
Yeah, Ethan, how you feeling going down there?
I feel it's an interesting one because I think they are wanting to bounce back from yesterday. It's just whether who's back from injury. So like Hastings has been ruled out for the entire South Africa trip. So that's quite a big loss there. I'm expecting Glasgow to be better than we played last time against the Lions in South Africa, but I'm still expecting the Lions to win with some crazy, like Harlem Globetrotters-esque performance.
Yeah, I can see it for sure. And then Scarlets versus Cardiff. It would be very Welsh rugby for the Scarlets to just ruin Cardiff's season. You know, if you want to see a Welsh team in the playoffs, you know, Cardiff need to be capitalising on these derbies because I think they got the Ospreys after this, so they need to be banking points in these derbies against teams whose seasons are over. But that's just not how it works, I'm afraid. So the Scarlets have got a bit of a thing for beating Cardiff. So history tells us that it would be a narrow Scarlets win, with Gareth Davis scoring a try or two. But who knows, Gareth Davis might not play because our other scrum halves are playing quite well. Obviously, Scarlets have had a couple of weeks off as well, having not played any European action. The boys have been holidaying in Miami and on golf courses and skiing and stuff. All the pictures have been on social media. So hopefully they're well rested. They got their heads screwed on. No Sam Costello for the rest of the season. But hopefully we pick a full-strength team. And it's a great advert for Welsh rugby. You know, hopefully rugby is the winner. It won't be. It'll be the Scarlets. So there we've got Benetton against Munster. Adam, the Munster just waiting for the season to end, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like it's stoppable force versus movable objects. It's really interesting. I think Munster need to find their identity. I think something that I did say that I completely ripped off another podcast by saying it, but it was something that I watched before the podcast was somebody said that Munster is struggling to find an identity that they've got their big players, but they've also got their players that haven't performed well. Like they've got lots of players that are just trying to move along with the game, and they really need this win to come out of it because they need that top eight. Because I don't see Munster. Well, maybe. Well, we see it work for Ulster. Us starting in the Challenge Cup and going through. That's been really good for us. It's been something on the back burner, something that we can use our team for. But I think Munster need the Champions Cup, and the Champions Cup need Munster, so they need to get a win somewhere. So this chorizo game might be that target for them. I'd say Munster by 3.
Yeah, I wonder if Benetton might just have a bit of a hangover from their season just being done, and I don't know what they'll do with selection and things. So we'll see what happens there. And then finally, Ospreys versus the Hollywood Beck Sharks in the Electric Brewery Fields. They're just advertising the fact that they do indeed have electricity there. Mohammed, the Sharks are rubbish up north.
Yeah, well, we had a week break. Hopefully we'll actually play a first team. It depends on who's fit or not. I'm hoping for a win. Like Munster, well, Munster are 7th, but the Sharks need to make their way into the top 8, sneak 8th place. Yeah, like we're gonna have to. We actually have statistically a chance to salvage our season, unlike Benetton. But so we're gonna have to go for it these last few games. We've got nothing to lose, and then if we get 8th place, we get a South African quarterfinal against the Stormers, who will obviously finish now first on the log, and then anything can happen.
Nothing to lose except games of rugby. I think this has got Ospreys written all over it. It'll be in the dark. Actually, it might not be dark now with the clocks changing. And especially if it starts raining and blowing a gale, then it's done. The Ospreys are going to win this. So I think the Ospreys are going to win this game, I'm afraid. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show. We talked about all of the matches to come. We've talked about all of the matches that have happened. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining me, to Scottish Ethan, Irish Adam, and South African Mohammed.
Cheers.
I have, for the purpose of this podcast, been Welsh Hugh. Enjoy your rugby, and I hope that everybody's team wins. Bye.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 40% off site-wide, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.